Hello chess fans! In today's video I'm going to show you a game from a recent rapid tournament I played that managed to get really wild. Despite the fact that my opponent was just 1750, they played an excellent game and really had me until the end, in which we'll see that crazy complications ensued. So here my opponent went for c4, so I was sort of happy to see this, so I decided to go for e5 because usually I'm an e4 player as white, so I'm sort of used to this at reverse colors. My opponent went for g3, knight f6, bishop g2, and here I decided to go for what's really trendy at the moment, which is to go for this move c6. And the idea of c6 is we're fighting against the diagonal of the bishop, and let's say they play a nonchalant move like d3, we can play d5, and here we have a really nice pawn center. So after c6, there's two moves. You have to strike at the base of the pawn chain because e5 is now sort of weaker because we can no longer go knight c6. So either the best move is d4 or knight f3. So knight f3 I think is a different type of move. After e4, knight d4, the reason why they've wanted to provoke this e4 move is because now it's easier to attack the center with something like d3. So this position is about equal as well. And d4 I think is the more combative move because you're placing a pawn in the center. And again, the only reason you do this is because after takes, there's no knight c6. So here there's two moves. Either you could take, and then you could play this move knight a6. The idea is to go knight b4 and go here, and then play d5 and not get the isolated queen pawn. Or you could just say, okay, let's get the isolated queen pawn and go for something like this, in which white is probably somewhat better here, but it's a different sort of type of game. And instead of that, I decided to go for e4, just pushing past. And the idea of e4 is I want to go d5 next. So if they go for like knight c3, I go d5, and now the bishop is kind of bad, and it's sort of hard to play their position, and black's about equal. But instead he went d5, which I think is sort of the engine move, and they told me after the game that they had prepared this. So here I was already out of any sort of knowledge that I had. I've never seen this move before, online or in person. So I decided to go for bishop b4, and the idea was, in many positions, they can go d6, and I sort of just get trapped. So I was just like, oh, I have to get this bishop out. But if I go bishop d6, I don't know, maybe they have like here, and then they can pin me, and it's hard to defend. So let's just try to get rid of the fact that they can pin me with this move, because now they have to go bishop d2, and now I can exchange it. And here, originally, I was thinking, oh, I take, and then a castle, but then I thought, okay, after knight c3, their queen is sort of well placed. What if I go queen e7, a move I already want to play, and now they can't go on their queen on d2? So here they played knight c3, and here I sort of hallucinated. So the move I ended up playing was a5, and then my idea was to stop this a3 move. But instead of that, the main line here continues with castles, and after a3 takes, here apparently I can just take and go d6. And as you can see by the arrows, my pieces have very nice squares, and they have no clear targets. Here, I think the reason why I didn't play this is because I thought they were winning a pawn. I mean, this is like 7 moves in advance, but yeah, I had the pawn on b2 is hanging, and here I should be doing okay. So yeah, I didn't see that up to queen takes b2. I just saw that I would get that position. I thought I was losing a pawn, so I was like, okay, I don't want to give up the bishop pair either. So I went a5, so on a3 I can just retreat. But they went e3, which is, excuse me, not a very good move because of the fact that it weakens this d3 square. Excuse me. So here I went for knight a6, just looking to jump into that d3 square immediately. And they went for knight g2. Which sort of annoys my threat. Now, I can't go knight c5 immediately because of this move. I think castles followed by a3 is sort of dangerous. And if I ever go here, I think they have this tactic at some points. And it's sort of just, it doesn't work in this specific position because they can take here. But it's just something that I have to be wary of. Here, maybe knight f4 immediately is quite good for them. So instead I went for castles. And they went for h4, and the idea of h4 was just to stop this g5 move, but it's really just too slow. They really needed to castle here, and they should have the advantage. After h4, I decided to defend my pawn. They went knight f4, and here I went bishop d6, sort of threatening to take here in many positions. And here they had a very interesting move to take advantage of the fact that my bishop doesn't cover the g4 square. They could go g4 themselves. And my knight has nowhere to go in case they play g5. So this would be very awkward for me to defend. So here I'm supposed to take and go d6. And after g5, I think that I should just be losing this pawn on e4. Then there's just no way to defend the pawn on e4 sufficiently or allow myself to get my pieces out of the game. This bishop is entombed. So g4 would have been a very strong move, but it's really hard to play. So instead they castled, which I think is more natural. Now I go knight c5. There's no a3 to kick my bishop out. They go queen c2. I go b6, looking to develop the bishop another way because I guess they were never going to get rid of this tension. They go rook fd1. I went bishop b7, pressuring here, threatening to take after bishop takes f4 to win the pawn. So they have to take. I took. They went knight ce2. Here I went h6. I'm not really entirely sure why I played this. I just saw some ghosts of, oh, there might be back rank problems. There might be some problems on this diagonal. And I might want to play this move g5 in the future. They went knight d4. So on g5, they can just return. And here they're threatening the move knight f5. So I have to go queen c7. Knight f5 anyways. And here I took. Now, objectively, I probably shouldn't have taken. But I thought that after bishop e5, they had this move bishop c3, and I really didn't want to lose their sort of French-like bishop because their pawn is on e3 for my bishop that's quite nice. So this would have been better because my queen's getting the e5 square. But instead of after this, I gave their bishop even more scope, and their bishop is sort of just a monster now. Sorry about that. I had something stuck in my throat. Okay, but after knight e3, here I decided to go for bishop g4, attacking the rook here. And the idea is sort of that if he takes, my knights are doing a very great job here controlling the squares that the bishop could go to. And immediately he gives up the bishop with bishop e3. So I take, go f5. He goes for bishop f1. And here I decide to go for a very ambitious move. Take a few seconds to see if you can find a move that looks to create an attack out of nowhere. So the move is g5, exclamation mark. It's a very great move because we're sort of trying to break the chain here. After h takes, queen c3, they're sort of looking to get on some of the dark squares, and I'm sort of going to skip over some of this section just to get into the part where it gets really, really wild. So I went king f7, which is sort of a really, really brave move. I'm just trying to prevent the queen from infiltrating on any of the squares. Notice the queen can't get in. But objectively, I probably should have just taken, and then like gone there now that the file's open. But I was afraid of queen f6, but it's really nothing. It's just a free pawn. Like if they give a few checks, like, okay, sure, whatever, like I'm gonna mate them. So yeah, I was just afraid of that. So I went king f7, rook d2. Now I took, and now if I give this check, they could block with the rook. I give the check, and then they don't block with the rook. So here I was very confused. So I went queen e7, threatening queen h4, queen e5, and yeah, here apparently I should just take, which is just crazy to me, and then you're just completely winning because there's no way he can defend his position. If he goes king here, we're going to pin him and go knight d3, and it's undefendable. So amazingly enough, we're supposed to trade queens, but who trades queens when the king is on f2 like this? It looks like I should mate him. So I go here, give some more checks, and here I really played quite over-ambitiously. Here I went rook a8, attacking the queen. They went queen here, here. They took the pawn, and now, yeah, my position is sort of, it's not great anymore. And now here I have to play this move rook g6, defending my pawn, and after queen d5, play this move rook e6, and I still be better here because my knight is amazing, and their bishop is really bad, and their king's really bad, but it's no longer clear by any means. But here instead I played queen g3, which is way too over-ambitious, because I just saw if rook f2, oh, I win the game, because after this I'm sort of mating them, or doing like this, and then I should be fine, but yeah, here I just completely underestimated king d1. I just kind of thought that they should be getting mated, and here I was at like 10 seconds. I was like, oh my god, why am I not mating them? So I like took this pawn. I was just like, okay, free pawn, and then they play queen d5, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I completely missed queen d5. I thought they were going to take here, in which case I have this move rook g6 to still protect myself. But queen d5, I missed this. I was just like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? My time's ticking. I have 5, 4, 3, 2, and then with 2 seconds left, I play king g7, which is a huge blunder, just blundering away my rook. Here they could literally just go here and then take my rook next move. They're just mating me here with rook g6, but they missed it. They had maybe 10 seconds. They spend like 5 seconds, take this pawn. Now here I go rook f7, and here they have mate and 5. They just have queen g5, king f8, and rook d8 mate. I saw this in the game, but my opponent literally had like 15 seconds, I think, so they should have taken their time, but instead they played this in like 5 seconds, which they could have mated me. Instead, after queen g5, the slowest mate is like this, check. Oh, not that check, sorry. Queen h6 here, queen f6, and here, and then mate. Like this. So yeah, that's pretty hard to see, I guess, with not a lot of time, but instead they went, excuse me, rook g2, and after king f8, queen c8, they grabbed my rook. So now I'm just down a rook for nothing, and we both have 3 seconds on the clock, and it's in a rapid tournament with a small delay, I think. I think there was a 5-second delay or something like that. So here we're just both like panicking, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm about to lose to a 1700. So I went queen f3, and yeah, here I don't know what I was doing on bishop e2. I was just sort of praying they wouldn't play this, because after here they can just give up the rook, and if I take it, I think there should be mate here somewhere. But instead they went king c2, which is the practical sort of mistake I needed, because now I have some checks, and now here they thought that it might have been a draw. I went here. Excuse me, I'm quite sick. King a4, queen d2, threatening mate, and here my opponent missed. They had this check. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, they missed this check with queen d8. But yeah, at this point it's completely lost if they find queen d8, but they weren't able to find it, and they played a3, which sort of allows me to get back into the game. With this move, queen takes b2, I'm attacking the rook. I'm also threatening queen c2, checkmate, or queen c2, that looks scary. And here my opponent went rook d1, I played queen c2, and they thought they lost. They thought, oh, I'm losing the rook, I'm losing the game. But funnily enough, they still have mate here. After I take here, they have a mate. I think it's rook g6 here. Yeah, bishop h3, and I just have nothing to do. Check here, and check here, check. And there should be mate here somewhere, but they're up a lot of material. So yeah, I ended up getting lucky in this game, but definitely things to learn about the middle game, just to always evaluate a queen trade, even if you feel like your opponent's king is more dangerous, in more danger than yours. So yeah, I kind of apologize for this video. I am a little bit sick, and I've been trying to do this video for a while, so my throat is quite raspy. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.